All right. So we're here. We made it. It's 7:01, 7:02 now. I'm proud of us. How's everybody doing? Give me thumbs up or thumbs down. I'm actually doing thumbs up. I have a positive outlook on life. I have one son, and I used to be a teacher. So, right, I used to have like 25 kindergarten kids, and I have one 7-year-old. And I make my own schedule. So I cheat a little bit because of that. And I'm in behavior, and I gave birth to the easy kid, which isn't fair. I think a lot of people don't find that fair. I gave birth to the easiest temperament, for me anyway. So we're enjoying ourselves. We do live across the street, so that window out there is the beach. I live in Hampton, in New Hampshire, and the beach is closed. So that part's a little bit of a bummer, because you could see it and you can walk on it, but you can't go to it. It's like somebody waving on the beach like, I have all the donuts, and you can't go get them. And it's so sad, because I want all the donuts. I told Brennan the other day, I said, but anybody just want to go out to eat and sit in a restaurant and have someone bring you food and yes. So I was like, I just want to go out to a restaurant. He goes, Mommy, I think Dunkin' Donuts is open. I don't think that counts. We're going to go through drive-through and sit in the parking lot. All right, so let's talk about love languages. So love languages is probably the strategy I use most often in my personal life. Probably the strategy I use most often with others in teaching and in parenting. It is pretty easy. And if you have good observation skills, which I think you would as a teacher and a parent, you can get to a different place with your kids, either your own kids or the kids in your lives, very easily. But a lot of people didn't even know. Right before I was a behavior consultant, I think when I taught kindergarten, so I taught kindergarten in a childcare setting for 10 years, and I'm not sure I really knew about love languages. I knew kind of that if a kid didn't want you to touch them, they would hit you, because I got hit by a kid, and I'll tell you that story later. But I didn't really know. So human behavior dictates that we love and care for others the way we need it, not the way they need it. So that is the tricky part. We go around loving others the way we need it for ourselves, and not necessarily the way they need it. So it sort of goes into, I want to feel loved. You just don't tell me you love me. If you tell me, right, that is one of the love languages. You could say, I love you, I love you, I love you. If that's not the way you feel love, then it might not click, especially for little kids like babies and toddlers, right? They can't say it, so we have to have very good observation skills. So the reason I think, well, I know that this is so important, is this is part of the self-care workshop, which is tomorrow night. No, I'm just kidding. Tomorrow's the 31st, right? April Fool's Day, 7 to 8, I'm doing Not Very Okay at All. So it's the self-care one. And this is part of the self-care one. We go over these buckets. The one we're really interested right now is the emotional bucket. So in your emotional bucket, to feel loved and to feel like your emotions are in check and that you are in a place of positivity, right, and health, mental health, spiritual health, all those health, your emotional bucket should have love languages in it. I know that everybody's been in a relationship where you probably think the other person loved you, but you didn't feel it. And so that's why it's important, because if you don't think of love languages, then this emotional piece, this emotional bucket isn't full. I think some of these, right, like the physical bucket can be like exercise, and some people like, I don't, like me, I drive by the gym and I'm like, hey, I mean, you can't go in now, but before this happened, I would look at it and say, I belong there. That's where I pay money to go, and I just keep driving. Because some people, exercise is not like their thing, right? They take a walk, or they're like, whatever, I don't want to do it. I think love languages in the emotional bucket has to be there. It has to be, because kids need places where they belong, right? A lot of people put belongingness and love in front of basic needs, in front of food, clothing, and shelter. And I think that we can all think of instances where that happens. So if we do not fill this emotional bucket with love languages, we're going to have kids that might not know if we love them or not. Oh my gosh, Lori, I thought you were drinking wine out of the bottle. When I looked and I was like, yes, she's my favorite person. Water, that's boring. I also have water right here. I really thought you were just chugging the wine and I was like, oh my gosh.
So yeah, no.
No, but you would have been I love you anyway, but you would have been my favorite person in history if you were like, you know what? I don't care if I'm on Zoom and people can see me. I'm drinking right out of the bottle. Right? I think people are having a hard time, so we might have people doing that right now. So we have to move from fill our emotional bucket with love languages, and then we're gonna we're gonna skip, right? This is the 2-hour version of love languages. We only have an hour, so I don't want to not. Love languages is the last slide. It's probably a bad idea to not do that slide since that's what it's about. So trust is huge. That is right. I think trust as much as we go as far as, yeah, kids trust us to know how to love them best, right? We get to this, the trust wheel. You can read that. That's stuff that we can read and check out. This part, oh yeah, is the part that I think is really important. So we have to self-reflect and know ourselves, because remember, human behavior dictates that we show love the way we need it. So we have to move through arena, blind spot, mask, and potential, and we're gonna go over those right now, and how to get to a different space so what the kids need, we're providing. Just like with differentiation of instruction, just like we know as teachers and parents, when we approach a kid, sometimes we have to adjust ourselves, right? And because we are the adults in the situation with education and experience, we're the ones that have to do that. We can't expect a 2-year-old to be like, oh yeah, Meg doesn't like when I'm loud when I get a diaper change. I should take a deep breath. Right, I mean, has any 2-year-old ever done that? Never in the history of 2-year-olds, right? They all love themselves. 2-year-olds love themselves so much. They're so egocentric. They think they're awesome. I talked to a 12-year-old today, and he did something hysterical. Well, first of all, we went on Zoom, and he had on safety goggles and the yellow dishwashing gloves. And I was like, dude, what's happening? And he's like, I'm making an electric magnet. And I was like, why? He said, for school. And I said, really, that was one of your assignments to do at home when who knows about supervision? I was like, I feel like that's a bad idea. But he goes, yeah, and he's showing me. And I said, you know what, Nasim, you are my favorite. And you know what he said to me? Well, I'm my favorite. And I said, oh, well, okay, we don't have to worry about self-esteem for you, buddy. So, like, I'm thinking, I thought to myself, 2-year-olds, that's what, if you were like, you know what, John, you're my favorite. I think a lot of 2-year-olds are like, I'm my favorite. I think 2-year-olds think they are their favorites, always. And they don't grow out of that necessarily till like 6 years old. And do we know some people that are a little stunted and they didn't get the memo that 6 years old is sort of the growth part and still stuck in that part. So we have to move from this arena. We have to move into this arena, right? It's much easier if I know and you know love languages. If I know yours and you know mine and we are using that effectively. It is not helpful in the potential when I don't know what yours is and you don't know what mine is. It's hard to get to that empowering, loving, positive relationship. So we have to know that, is it this one or is it the next one? This one? This one? Hold on. I just don't want to say it in the wrong spot. Yeah, so 85% of our success is in people skills, is in being able to figure out how we get to this arena. So 15% is technical skills. So like, do you know how to read? Do you know your colors and numbers and shapes? And it's basically technical skills are what I would put on my resume to get hired. Right? If you're a director, so Shannon, if I was going to come work for you, I would give you my resume and you would check it off. Like, oh, she's done this. She has a master's. She has experience. She has, right, and you would go down the list. And then you hope when I get in, I have some people skills. So every time I get to go back to a center, it's almost never because of my technical skills, although I'd like to think that I have some good technical skills. Like I have research and handouts and all that stuff that is necessary. But every time I ask, I was like, so this is my second time back here, or third time back here. How did I get back here? Was it my technical skills or my people skills? I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately. No one has ever picked the technical skills. They've always asked me back because of my people skills. And I think that that's great because 85% of your success in life is in people skills, right? That's why it's so hard with these kids who have need to grow in social skills, that we sort of panic, right? We have to teach those kids to be sociable. They don't necessarily have to be social, right? So I'm social. So strangers are only friends I haven't met yet. So as you all signed up, I like to check to see if you were new people by my emails that I got before. And then when your faces came on, I was like, no, I love her. Oh, and then I married a man he has one friend. Luckily it is me, but he doesn't necessarily have any other friends. He's not interested really in having other friends, and he's okay with having me as a friend. But I have people all the time in Facebook say, oh my gosh, you're friends with my cousin. And I was like, really? Who was your cousin? And they're like, Jane Smith. And I was like, I don't know who Jane Smith is. And they were like, really? You don't know who Jane Smith is and you friended them? Yeah, they have children? Yes, 2. Well, that's probably why I friended them, because I'm in behavior and I work with people who have children in their classrooms or in their homes. So they were like, oh, that's weird that you don't know her. And then they send me pictures and I was like, I don't even know. I've probably never talked to her before. I don't know. But right, people who are very social don't realize that I realize they're not really friends, right? There are some people that I'm friends with on Facebook that I probably wouldn't like go out with. So we have to make sure our 85% gets us from this I don't know, you don't know, into now I know, you don't know. I have a story for that. So there was a little girl who was touched by love language. So she loved hugs, she loved side hugs, she loved high five, she loved all that stuff. And her teacher was like, don't like that. She was like, that's just not how I show it. And I was like, but that's how she receives it. So you have to figure it out. Like, even if it's just like a high five, maybe that's where you start, right? So this little girl, we'll call her Emily. I don't actually remember. It did start with an E. It was Emily or Elizabeth. So Emily did something and she was really proud of herself. She did it for the first time. She either like tied her shoe or read a word or something she hadn't done before. And the teacher came over and like gave her a side hug, and Emily went like this and looked at the teacher. The teacher's like, what? She goes, well, what are you doing? And the teacher automatically thought, oh, geez, now I'm in trouble, right? And she goes, well, I was proud of you, so I thought I would give you a hug. And Emily looks like this. She goes, oh, you do that now? Because the teacher realized, oh, I know that she likes hugs. She doesn't know I know yet. And then, right? So then she gave her a hug. They had that weird, awkward conversation, and they moved from mask to arena, to open communication. So now Emily could be more likely to go to the teacher when she was sad to get a hug. But because before she would go to her friends, and then the rule in the classroom was keep your hands to yourself. And poor Emily was like, I just need a hug. I need some love and care, and I need a hug, and there's nobody that could give it to me, right? So we're going to talk about that piece too, the keep your hands to yourself also. So stuff that you know, and I don't know. So what do you know? You know your love languages. I don't know them yet. So every time I see somebody, like if I was to see Shannon in the grocery store now, I would have to put my hands by my side and be like 6 feet away. Because what I want to do, I want to run up and hug her. Because Shannon and I go way back to like, oh, Shannon, how old are we? I was probably 26. I'm 42 now, so 24? I don't know, a long time ago.
There we go. It was a long time ago. We nannied together.
Yeah, so like I nannied when I was like 25, 26. So
Yeah.
so if I saw you in the grocery store, I'd want to be like, hi. And then I'm like, oh gosh, oh geez. And then sometimes I see people, I can't do it now because we're not allowed to snuggle with each other. But if I saw her at a different point, I was like, wait, is Shannon a hugger? I know her well enough that I could, but Kristen, if I saw you in the grocery store, I'd want to give you a hug. And I'm like, not sure if she's a hugger. So if you see me stand like stick straight with my arms to my side, it's because I'm trying really hard not to squeeze you. Because I want to. So like, you know, and you know the people when you go to hug that aren't huggers. Yeah? Because they kind of do this. And then they like reach around and like tap, tap. And they're like, oh. Where me, I'm like spider hug, like arms and legs around. So we have to get from potential or mask or blind spot into arena so we can make sure that the kids that we have all day, either with in our classrooms or in homes, we have to make sure that we are doing the best we can with these kids and they feel loved, right? So in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right, we need physiological, your physiological wellness, which is eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, right? Your physiological needs. And then it goes to safety, which is physical and emotional safety, right? And what fits in the emotional safety? Love languages. So when I need a hug when I'm sad, I could get one. When I need an I love you when I'm sad, I could get one. Then we go to belongingness and love. It is the third tier, although a lot of people switch it and put it into the first tier, which sometimes is tricky. And then it's self-esteem. So those are the 4 authentic needs because we're born human and we take care of humans that we have to think about all the time. We have to make sure all 4 of those needs are fulfilled before we get to the first one outside of authentic needs, which is need to know and understand. So that is like a kid who comes from trauma. The need to know and understand is like, we want them to read and all this stuff. And where are they? That might be a physiological needs, right? They might be hungry and tired because they're not being taken care of well at home. So we have to make sure that those are okay so we can get to positive self-esteem. Like my buddy today, I thought, you rocked it, buddy. You're on need to know and understand. You are your own favorite person. Good for you. Because I don't know how you got there, but you got there. And what's tricky about this kid is, he's hard because I'm a behavior consultant, so I'm with him. Which means what? if I'm with him, he's hard for somebody. He's hysterical. He's funny, but we got to I know, you know. Because I've asked a lot of questions. He is a fidgeter, right? He fidgets with everything. I just have like a pocket full of paper clips and I keep giving them to him until he ruins them and I throw them away. And I should buy company of paper clips and toilet paper, currently toilet paper. Because anybody having a toilet paper shortage? Holy moly. Yeah. My husband bought paper towels today and then left them on the bottom of the cart and came home and forgot them. Somebody is probably so excited because they saw those in the parking lot. They're like running like this. I see them! No, someone got free paper towels. He goes, they were Hannaford kind, so maybe they weren't even that good. That's what he said. All right, well. So this arena blind spot mask and potential, right? This trust model is also for everything else. So for things that I know and you know, right? You know my name is Meg. You know that I'm a behavior consultant. A lot of you knew that this wasn't going to be boring because I don't do boring workshops. I refuse to. I have some people that are like, oh, will you do the workshop on, what did someone ask me to do? Like state regulations for whatever and make it funny? No, I have explosive diarrhea. I can't go to that. Because I always, right, I can't, no, I'm not doing that. And then there's stuff you know and I don't know. So what did you know that I didn't know for 37 years? Is that I'm intense. I didn't know that. Isn't it obvious? Yep, but I didn't know. I didn't know that that was a thing. I thought I was friendly. I did not know that you thought I was intense. So now that I know that, because I had someone tell me, they said, oh, Brennan's intense just like you are. And I was like, it was my co-teacher for 10 years. I said, you think I'm intense? She looks at me, she goes, you think you're not intense? Yeah, I did. I thought you would think I was fun and friendly and you'd want to be my friend, right? Because I collect friends. And she said, nope. And then she said, and then I kept getting the message that people find you intimidating. They do? I still use poop jokes, still at 42. I have the best poop jokes. I'm not going to tell because I recorded this, so we can talk about it in an email later. But I'm like, I'm intimidating, and now I can see it, because if you do things that are silly for behavior, so any sort of sticker chart or clip down system, or I think they're more than silly. I think they're awful and hurtful, right? Because they mess up the emotional wellness of kids. That I can't, I come out with my edges too sharp. So now I know to carry sandpaper and like soften them out. Because otherwise I'm like Mama Bear. So, right, you could see where I would, people try to talk me out of sticker chart stuff all the time. I carry the research in my car. I have a whole Word doc of all the articles that disprove it. Because you can try to talk me off. I'm not getting off ever. I'm never getting off. I'm never getting off that pedestal. I'm staying on for my entire life. So it's interesting that people try to talk me out of it, and I won't get out, but that's probably where my intensity comes from. Then there's stuff I know that you don't know, like you don't know, you will in a minute, and then we're going to move it to I know and you know. I know that when I'm mad, I cry. I don't really cry when I'm sad. But when I'm mad, because the first thing I want to do is hit, and you can't be a behavior consultant that hits. They frown upon that. And if I can't hit, I want to say a bad word. It starts with an F. And that one makes me feel so good when I say it, but you also can't hit or be a behavior consultant that says that word, right? You hang out with kids that do that, so you have to keep it together. And so I am external in anger, so I need to be external somehow. How do I do that? First with my hands and then with my words. And I can't, so I'll put my hands under my armpits, or I'll do this, or I stick them between my legs. And then if you hear me do Ujjayi breath, anybody take yoga, so it's like going like this, and fogging up a window, but through your nose, so it sounds like this. If you hear me do that, and my hands are in one of those three places, you should just go, because I want to hit you. Or say a bad word. Because that's how I've managed to figure out how not to cry when I'm mad. Because you can't also be somewhere where you're mad or the kids are challenging and you cry. I think you can as a teacher and a parent, but when you are the help to help the people crying and you're crying, I think you're probably not going to be asked back. So if you hear me do Ujjayi breath and I'm hiding my hands, you should just go. You should turn around and walk away. What else for me that I know and you don't know? I do like to hug. I'm a hugger. I'm squirrely. I think a lot of people do know that, right? I have squirrels in my brain all the time that do. So it's so hard to keep this to an hour because I'm like, okay, I have a half an hour. What do I have to cover in a half an hour? Oh my gosh. And it just like the squirrels just keep going around and like holding signs. Make sure you get to love languages. Stop telling stories. Don't say any bad words. You recorded this. Like they're going like that in my head with signs. Anybody else squirrely? Anybody? Thumbs up. Yes, Emily, I knew it. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Kristen. Okay. I knew you guys were squirrely. And then the opposite of that, which I am not, is, right, I married ducks in a row. So like everything is beep, and I can't, my squirrels don't even dress up as ducks. They're not even, right? So some people like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm actually doing great. And they're like, really? Yeah, because I was already spacey and bonkers before this all started. So I think if you were spacey and bonkers before, and I didn't have a routine, or right, every day was different for me. So now that's the same thing, except now I work from home. So people are like, oh, I feel spacey and bonkers. I was like, welcome to the club. I saw a thing today on Facebook that I belong to a lot of, or Instagram, a lot of people who have autistic children, right? Because I believe that we don't need to necessarily do this stuff like chasing the carrot with autistic kids and changing who they are. I think that we can embrace who they are and still teach them skills. And somebody said, oh, you don't like that you had to change your routine on a moment's notice? Welcome to the club. And I thought, oh, it's a good one, because I feel like right now is what autistic kids feel like all the time. Like they think, oh my gosh, my schedule's changed, work has changed, I have to do all this extra stuff and all this, and it's a little bonkers for people. So the potential is stuff I don't know and you don't know. We can't talk about it because we don't know it. So right, depending on who thinks of it first, it's either a blind spot or a mask, and then we're going to talk about it with open communication, with our people skills, and be very open about love languages, and then go to arena. So we're actually going to get to the love languages now. Can you believe it? So remember that children can be loved, but they may not feel loved. And there's 5 ways. So there, I looked for my book, but again, I'm squirrely, so it's somewhere. If you saw my piles of books, so I have a bookshelf of shame. Anybody else have a bookshelf of shame? That they have bought every book that anybody has ever told them to buy, and you haven't read a whole book of them yet, and it's all over there. Like I have all of them. I can look at all of them over there. I get them at yard sales and thrift stores, and I buy them, and I read the forward to about chapter 2, and then I'm like, when I do something else, right? I don't know. It's or I'm like, okay, I'm doing a wellness workshop, so I'm going to find all my wellness books and just read like chapter 5 and part of chapter 7 and a little bit of chapter 9. But I never read from beginning to end. It almost never happens, right? So we have to. So they have a book. It's called Love Languages for Children. There's a Love Languages for Everything by Gary Chapman. So the guy, and is he the one that makes chicken soup for the teenage soul? If it's not him, he also, yeah, Gary Chapman, that is Gary Chapman. And just look up Love Languages for Children. There's one for widows and widowers and divorcees and kids of divorced parents and everything, dogs. I mean, there's everything. There's love languages for, if you just put that, love languages for in the Google, you would get, there's so many books. But there's only, well, all the ones I've seen, there's only 5 love languages. And they sort of look different for, or you have to think of different things for different people. But we're going to talk about them in terms of children, although it's not much different when it's in terms of an adult. So we're going to go through each one, and then we're going to take questions or see if anybody has anything else to say or add stories. And okay, does that sound good? Okay, I'm just going to keep going because I only have some of you on my screen. So remember that human behavior dictates that we do it the way we love and care, the way we want it. So we're going to first, when I go through these, you're going to think, which ones am I? Oh, which ones are my family? And then we have to figure out how to adjust. We have to figure out how to open this up so we can talk about it. So we can make sure people know that we know, right? So it is in the arena. So the first one is touch. That's the one that we're going to start with the hardest one because that makes the most amount of people the most nervous. Because there's a lot of places that you can't do that. But it is essential. There is a book called Essential Touch. The woman's name is Carson is her last name. Frances, I think, is her first name. Whoa, look, my squirrels are on top of things today. I remember authors and book names and whoo. So touch is essential. It has to happen. Has to happen. And in our classrooms, it's keep your hands to yourself. If your classroom rule or you say keep your hands to yourself, and that's a rule and you've written it down, what's the down part of that? A kid falls off the monkey bars, which they're bound to do because monkey bars, I think, eject kids off of them. I think there's like an ejection button that somebody has and they think it's funny. I've seen so many kids fall off of monkey bars. Who falls off of monkey bars. And if your rule is keep your hands to yourself, what can you not do when the kid falls off the monkey bars?
Help them up.
Yeah, pick them up. You will. But if we are the role models for the rules, right, we should be the role models for the rules we make in the classroom. What are we not doing? We're not role modeling. So it's not keep your hands to yourself. It's ask before touching. Ask before touching should be the rule. It also then, you can't just, there's going to be, when you change the rule from keep your hands to yourself to ask before touching, there is going to be probably in the first day 700 teachable moments that you're going to miss. Because, right, 98% of challenging behaviors are a lack of skill or an unmet need. So you need to teach a skill and meet a need. Love languages is in the need category. Then we have to use our two best friends of time and patience. We can't just assume that when we change it from keep your hands to yourself to ask before touching, kids are going to get it. Right? One kid, my favorite is when it's not necessarily out of love and care, but it's like one kid punches another, and I was like, whoa, did you ask him to punch him? And the kid looks at me like, no. I said, did he ask you? No. I said, did you want him to punch you? No. And I said, we should tell him that. I said, I heard him say he doesn't want you to punch him. Got to remember that. Remember the rule in here is ask before touching. Both kids look like this. Because it doesn't really need to go further than that unless it's like really hard. But you know how some kids just are like, I work with some older kids that just like walk by in the hallway and like punch each other. I think it's out of love. Or kids trying to enter a social situation kind of claw at kids to like keep them close, which makes the kids want to go away. So figuring that piece out, it's ask before touching. Kids or adults who are touched by love language need 12 to 14 a day. Do you think if you're a teacher that by the time you get kids in your classroom, they have been up maybe less than an hour? You think that's probably true? They come to you and they've been up less than an hour. Do you think their parents gave them the 6 to 7 they need to make it through part of the day, and then they'll get the other 6 to 7 at night? Do you have kids that get there when you open and stay till you close?
Yep.
Yeah. So now you have those kids, and your rule is keep your hands to yourself. What do they end up doing? Finding kids and hugging them, squeezing them, pushing them, pulling them, touching them. And you're like, oh my gosh, just keep your hands to yourself. And they're like, I can't, because it's a need. It's a need. They want to. When I see people, I always will touch their arms. It's my thing. I don't know why. I like to hold hands. I am so touched that in high school, I did not realize this till I learned about love languages. In high school, I was almost elected in superlatives, which I don't think they do anymore because now they think they're mean. Class flirt. And I was like, why would I be class flirt? And everybody's like, Meg, obviously. You sat on people's laps and held their hands. And I was like, okay. They were like, and they were boys. And I was like, okay. But now I realize it was because I was friendly with them. I didn't want to have a relationship. I didn't love them. That's how I interact with people. I always link arms. I had a girl, she was 15, and she was having a hard time. Her mom was not home a lot during the night, like out like 4 out of 7 nights a week. And she was touch. And she started to talk about if you were a 15-year-old girl and you were not getting touch where you need it, where are you going for it? Where are you going? Right? You're going to go to sex. And I could see her start to go that way. And I was like, whoa. So I would just walk with my arms like this down the hallway and she would link my arm. She gave me this. Are you ready? This is from her for my birthday. It's January 14th in case you want to send me donuts next January. You could send them late and just say, sorry, they're so late. I'll still eat them. It's fine. So I got this. It's the best present ever. It's from her on my birthday. It says, to Meg. Hugs. And it has arrows pointing up. And it says, this piece of paper is the best thing you will get in your life. This will get you something that you want any time that you see me. It will get you infinity hugs from me. So isn't it the best present you got? And I know you're smiling while you read it. And you might be laughing too. I love you. The thing that made it so hard is that, was that a present for me necessarily? It was a present for my birthday, but was it a present for me?
No.
No, she wasn't getting enough touch. She knew that I knew right? It was in the arena for us. I knew she was touch. She knew I was touch. I saw her a half hour on Wednesdays. There was a lot of high five and shoulder slapping and linking arms and hugs and holding hands because I was trying to get her 12 to 14 in at least for Wednesday. And then the teachers freaked out. They were like, you can't, right? At 15 as a male teacher, I was like, right. Of course you can't give her a hug. Oh my gosh, that would get everybody in so much trouble. But what can you do? Could you high five her going down the hallway? Yeah, that counts as touch. Can you like give her a punch in the shoulder, but not hard? Yeah. Can you say, hey, how you doing today? Yes, right? All of that counts. Can you do knuckles, right? You've seen that. Haven't you seen that I'm sure it's all over Facebook, that all the kids line up and they hit either like touch or a dance or a high five or a hello, and the teacher and the kid do it together. That's part of somebody, whoever made that, I don't know who made it and how it caught on, but whoever made it knew about love languages. They knew that because all the love languages are in there, or most of them are in there. So if you're not going to get any other touch for the day, you can have a hug from me and you can have a high five from me. There's a little boy that must not be getting it home and he double slapped the hug and high five. Like, I'm getting both. I got two hands, I'm picking two choices. He was great, and the teacher sort of looked at him and she was like, doing both. So you know who they are when they're really little, because the minute you sit on the floor and you make a lap, like you sit crisscross applesauce. If anybody knows me, you know I don't like crisscross applesauce. When you sit cross-legged, what happens? They chase you with their bums, right? Oh, she made a lap. And then they sit down, and what do the other kids do? One sits on your knee, the other one sits on your knee. You got one on your lap, and you're like this, trying to read like Cat in the Hat around their three bodies. And you're like, my hips hurt, my hips. And you can't get off the floor after because you're like, oh, right. How many people, if they sit cross-legged too long, their legs are broken? Oh my gosh, I can't. I like right now, I was sitting cross-legged, now they hurt. Ooh. So make sure you know which kids, and they need one adult to know this, right? There is something called the power of one. Kids need in their lives one adult who knows this need, who loves and cares about them, and who is going to meet the needs of their first 4 levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? The physiological, the safety, the love and belonging, and the self-esteem. They need just one. And you have the potential in your life to reach 10,000 people. And those 10,000 people are 10,000 people, and it goes to about 2 million, and then it sort of fizzles out. So if you miss one kid, if you don't look at love languages for one kid, and you don't meet that need for one kid, what's the sad thing? They might miss their 10,000. And that's really sad. For a kid to miss, to influence, you have the ability to influence 10,000. Now this kid is stuck way down on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We haven't met their needs, and what's happening? They don't meet their 10,000, right? And I think sometimes, I hope it's not really a thing anymore, but I know when I was little, they're like, oh, that kid's gonna end up in jail. And you're like, what? Right? Because basically you're saying he's not gonna get his 10,000 at 4. You can't say that at 4. Imagine what I look like at 4. I'm doing all right. I was not challenging, but I was feisty and sassy at 4. I'm also feisty and sassy at 42. It's the way I roll. So I'm trying to think if I forgot anything for touch. So know that the opposite of being touch is not being touch. So sometimes it's so hard for kids when they like, when you say, give me a hug, or you hug them in your family and you give them kisses and they're like, oh my gosh. So when I taught kindergarten, there was a boy in my class, he was 5, and he did not, he was not treated well by he was adopted, but by his biological parents. He was in a domestic violence situation. He was abused for sure. And I, because I am touch, by love language, I thought, oh my gosh, that's going to be like my mission this year, is to show him that there are adults that can provide touch in a very positive way, and I could really change this kid's behavior. And we did get there at the end of the year, but I started a little too early. And he was sitting reading a book, and I walked and I squatted next to him and I tousled his hair. And I said, hey, Nick, how you doing? He turns around in fear, right? Of course, because touch has always been fear for him, especially if you surprise touch him. And he went like this, right here in my neck. And I was like, so I walked away. I did cry in sadness because it hurt a lot. And he was like, right, it just came out of him and he didn't mean it. And I said, hey, buddy, can you come here for a sec? And he came over and he like this. And I said, Nick, buddy, I have to apologize to you. And he was like, you're going to apologize to me? I said, yeah. I said, my goal this year was to show you that we can provide loving touch for you and you won't get hurt here and that you're loved here. And I think I might have gone too soon. And he goes, you just scared me, so I punched you. And I said, I know, that's what made me think I went too soon. Right? That's how you know when you get punched. And I said, and I am really sorry. It is still my goal, but I will make sure I ask first. And you know what he said to me? Oh, that's one of the classroom rules. Yep. Because I made that a rule. And then I didn't do it, right? And by the end of the year, he was sitting on my lap and holding my hand, and we did it. But I moved too quick, too early for him, for sure. And I got punched. And then I had to find my humility and turn it around and realize that I was the one in the wrong, even though he's the one that punched and hurt me. I was in the wrong. So he's like, so I'm not in trouble? And I was like, no. I said, if you're scared and somebody touches you and you're scared, you should punch them. I mean, right? If I'm like in an alley and somebody like goes to touch me and I'm scared, what should I do? It's fight. Your body goes to fight, flight, or freeze. His went to fight. And I lost the fight. So make sure that if you know touch, that's probably the one you could get the most hurt on. And it's the one that makes people really nervous. Really nervous. So make sure you're watching out, but if you know it's a need for kids. So when my son, when I was pregnant with Brennan, I did not know if he was going to be a boy or girl. I wanted, right, that's the last biggest surprise you're ever going to get. Right, being engaged, being pregnant with the baby, having the baby probably is the last surprise you're going to get. Good surprise. You probably get a lot of bad surprises. And so I didn't know if it was a boy or girl, but I prayed as much as I pray to a higher being to say, like, please, please, please make him touch my love language. Because if he's not touched by love language, I don't, like, who am I going to get snuggles from? I wished, by the way, way too hard. And it was granted. So he's like this. He had to do, in school, he has to do a gratitude journal. Do you know what one of the gratitude things was? I get to stay home with my mama. Like this. He's like a monkey. I can't go downstairs and I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, buddy, downstairs. He will take his iPad and sit outside the bathroom to be that close to me. He will hold my hand to go up and get socks because he wants to be that close to me. Always that close. Always. He, in every out to dinner restaurant, he's kicked my legs. Every single one. I was like, dude, you were on, he's like on the other side of the table over here. So we're like diagonal, still kicks my legs. I have bruises all over my shins from him kicking my legs because he wants to touch me all the time. And I was like, oh, I wish too hard. But I also had a friend who, she tried to like cuddle her baby and hold her. And she's like, she does so much better if she's just at the swing. And I just talked to her and I said, she's not touched by love language. You don't have to hold her. She's like, really? I was like, No. Does she cry when you hold her? Yes. Does she cry when you put her down? No, put her down. But we're so ingrained to think, right? Oh, she's trying to tell you she doesn't like, it was either too warm or too much sensory something. So if kids aren't, make sure you're also meeting that need that they're not. All right, so let's go to affirmation. So affirmation is the I love you, kids. If you are not affirmation, watch that you will do this. My husband does it. Hey, hon, I love you. He's like, what did you do? Right? They see it as like, I don't know. They're a little skeptical of it. Right? If you're not affirmation, you're skeptical. My son is so affirmation. Be like, buddy, you know what? You really rocked it today. And you could see this. Like male peacock, the feathers come out and he's like, whoa, yeah, I'm awesome. Loves. And I always said I don't need the Atta girls. So after a workshop of one where you're actually in front of me and not virtually, but like as actual physical people will come up to me after like, oh, that was a great workshop. And you'll hear me say, oh, thanks, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But in my head, I'm like, yeah. Because first of all, I would hate to waste your time. That would be awful for me. But it's the kids that you're the best teacher in the whole world. You're so beautiful. I had a little girl that said that all the time. You're just the most beautiful teacher ever. And I was like, that's not true, but I'm going to take it. I'm taking it. Right? Because if she's trying to do what? If you, give affirmation as a kid, what are you trying to get back? Affirmation. So kids who are affirmation give you affirmation because it's odd to say, hey, I love you without somebody saying, I love you too, right? So we have to, there's one girl who's so affirmation, she just kept doing it. And when you do too much of it, it looks fake and pretend. So I had to like shut that part off as like, I need to give her more. She's asking for it by giving me more. It's driving me crazy. But I had to dismiss that because I had to help her, right? I had to help meet her need of affirmation, of knowing that she did what she needed to do. She asked a lot of questions because she didn't want it to be wrong, because she didn't want to get in trouble. Because if she got in trouble, we would talk to her. That's the opposite of affirmation when you get talked to in trouble. And I was like, oh, got it. So it is, and people, kids and adults who are affirmation need 4 times more encouragement than praise. So we don't need good job. I can't even say that. I always practice. Good job. Does that sound authentic? No, not usually. So what is it? Like good job with what? You don't even have to say good job. So encouragement is like a kid who zipped another kid's coat. You could walk by and say, good job. Or you could walk by and say what? Hey, you know what? I've been looking for helpers in this classroom. And you knew how to zip your coat, and you wanted to get outside, and you helped him zip his coat. That's what I'm looking for in here. We're looking for a community where everybody takes care of each other, and you got it. Thanks for that, buddy. Right? Oops, someone saying something?
Yeah, I just had a question.
Yeah?
What do you think about kids telling you that they love you all the time?
I think it's okay, but there's a lot of, so they are looking for affirmation if they say it all the time. But a lot of people have a hard time with it. I'm on the side where I show love easily and I love easily. So there are some kids that never hear it. If they hear it from me and I'm their power of one, then I'm going to say it. But know that there are people on the other side that say that is just for family. And I've had parents when I taught kindergarten who said that.
Okay.
That I love you is just for family. So you have to be careful who you say it to, because I think some parents don't want you to take their place.
Okay.
So I am observant of that, but I also think there are kids that don't get any that ever. And if they say it over and over and over and over, find a way, right? If you think, oh, I probably shouldn't say it back, or it feels uncomfortable for you, because for some it does. And if they're like,
no,
I love,
it doesn't for me. But I have kids that will say when they're leaving, I love you. And of course I say it back because I do,
right, love easily.
Yes, I do.
Right. And I I only got talked to twice about it when I taught kindergarten. And the mom was a teacher in a public school, so her public school persona was, we don't say I love you to the kids. And I said, okay. And right, I didn't know then what I know now. I would have said, well, I'm going to say something, because if a kid says it to you over and over and over, they're looking, it's like a affirmation plus a goodbye in one thing, or an affirmation and a hello in a one thing. So I try to just, if they said I love you and you didn't want to say it back because for whatever reason, hey, I love you, Miss Meg. You know what? Man, that makes me feel good. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Right? That could, right? With the problem with affirmation is when you do it when you're disingenuous about it. Right? When you're like, right? Because it could be I love you and you say, love you too. See how, like, oh, please don't say it like that. That sounds awful. Yeah. So it is the genuine part of affirmation that counts more than the words you use.
Right.
So I am very happy all the time. So kids always get like, woohoo, Meg! That I said, if you ever need somebody, like something good happened to you and you need someone to tell and you want someone to like really get psyched and freak out, call me. I'm so good at it. And it's genuine. If you call and be like, you know what? I've been trying to lose weight and I lost 10 pounds. I was like, you did not. Today you did. Oh, like that's exciting. How many people don't want to lose 10 pounds? I don't know one female that doesn't want to lose 10 pounds. I feel like if we tune in, if you buy 10 workshops, you can lose 10 pounds. I don't know how that's going to happen, but maybe that's going to be my next post on Facebook. Right? We all want to lose 10 pounds. So like you have to be genuine in affirmation. Oh gosh, we have 6 minutes. I thought we were going to be done early and that's never the case. So gifts. This is also gifts. It's the best present ever, right? The hugs. Also a gift. You do not want to nurture through material gifts. So I do heart-shaped rocks. I write notes on the clamshells. Oh, sorry, I'm going back to affirmation for a second because I got it already. So when I taught kindergarten, on my checks, my director used to put notes about catching you doing good things. Look at how many I have. It's all 10 years of teaching kindergarten in this box. I've kept every single one. There was a man who worked in preschool and he was not affirmation. He said, oh, I just do it in front of her to see if she'll write a note. And what I do ends up on the note. So it was like a game for him, right? Because he was skeptical of it. Where me, I was like, I don't care how much it says on the what my check says. It's like 44 cents. That's what I make every week because I work in childcare. It's 44 cents. I couldn't wait to see what the note said. To the point that I was 20, I left when I was 20. I went back when I was 28 maybe, and I'm 42 and I still have them in a box on my desk. All of them. Every single one I've ever gotten. That's how you know your affirmation. When you get them. And sometimes I sit and read them when I watch TV. I know. You think I'm weird now? That's fine. You probably thought I was weird before. So that's also gifts. So when I go and look when the beach is open for heart-shaped rocks, and then I bring them to workshops and I give them to people. Because that's gifts for me. So it's notes in lunch boxes. It's notes under pillows. It's any sort of note and you know those kids because they give you what? Belly button lint and rocks and pictures. I made you this picture. You keep it. Because if they made you a picture and they found you and they gave it to you, they are gifts. Keep it. Do not throw it away. You can when you get home because sometimes it's just a red line on a paper. But what are they doing? They're gifts and they want to make you stuff and give you stuff. So keep the rocks and everything. You keep it all until you're out of sight. There were kids who used to give me things and they, when I taught kindergarten, We did half the class on Tuesday came to my house in the winter to go on the beach. And I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I told all the kids I put their pictures on the fridge when they give them to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm putting this on the refrigerator. And I was like, which kids are coming tomorrow? I'm looking in my folder, trying to find all the kids that drew me pictures so I could put them on the fridge. The gifts kids, when they came in, what did they do? They went right to the fridge to make sure I put them on. And then they went in my bathroom. I don't know. They checked out if their picture was on the fridge, and then they went into the bathroom to check it out. I don't know if that's a thing kids do, but both groups did that. Went right to the fridge, went to the bathroom. So make sure you're keeping it for kids, and make sure if your kids are loved that we give them, write them notes. And so I write notes to my son. If I don't put him to bed, I write him notes and I slide it under the door. Okay, so quality time. It is quantity time with quality interactions. So it's going out to dinner and talking. We play a game called Would You Rather. So would you rather be a polar bear or a penguin? And then you have to pick one, everybody picks one. Would you rather go to Sanibel Island or Florida or Yellowstone? So that's what we do. We don't do any, right? It's, you see people go out to dinner and what do they do the whole time? And they have blue faces, right? On their phones. Is that quality time? No, my son wants to be with me. So if, right, I have to work while I'm here and at home with everybody else, like everybody else has to work. And he goes, Mommy, put your phone down. What's happening? He's basically asking for quality time. It's the kids that want quality time minus any electronics, any technology, any brothers or sisters. They just want one-on-one time. They want it to be a long time and they want it to be together. So make sure that's happening. Make sure the phones don't get in the way, especially, right, with all that, all these kids are gonna have technology eyes when they get back to school because they're all gonna be on all this virtual, right? They're all virtual, everything's virtual. I'm like, oh my gosh. The last one is service. So they're the helping kids. They're the kids who wanna help. That was another thing in my son's gratitude journal is helping. He is service. I think probably more so than touch and affirmation. He is service. So he will, if you, all you have to say is, oh man, I wish someone would help me unload the dishwasher. I'll do it, Mommy. I love to help. And it's not fake. Where some kids, with challenging kids, a lot of people say, oh, give him a job. My question is always, oh, is he serviced by love language? And they look at me like this. Because if they're not serviced by love language or they don't have that piece strong, what's going to happen? The first day, you're going to think you won the lottery because it worked awesome. The second day was a little less awesome, but all right. The third day, what happened? Because it wasn't their need, right? It wasn't what fueled them. It wasn't how they received love and care. So if you have 15 kids and only 5 jobs, that kid feels loved every third day. So it goes deeper than, I don't have a job, I'm sad about it. If you have a kid who cries every single time they don't have a job, they're serviced by love language. Say, oh, buddy, man, you do not like the days that you don't have a job. You know what? I'm going to write your name right now on this Post-it, and I'm going to put it on. And when I'm looking for somebody, I'm going to put it right here. And when I'm looking for somebody, I'm going to be like, oh, man, who can I have help? Oh, look at your name's going to be right there. And I'm going to find you. And he is going to be the chair stacker and the chair unstacker and the table washer. And, right, he's going to be all of those things. Hey, buddy, I need your help. I need somebody to sort the cups for me. And know that if he washes the table, he probably have to wash it again. But he feels loved by helping. So find things for him to help with. Anything. Say, oh, you know what? You do love to help. Can you think of anything? I mean, the classroom's kind of a mess, so whatever you think probably is going to be awesome, right? Just like lighthearted and cheery. Just, and then as you know that they are service and it's not their job day, and they come in and you're like, remember, buddy, today's not your job day. But I got my Post-it on. Did you see your name? I got my Post-it on. So I knew that today wouldn't be your favorite day. I'm going to work really hard to make it maybe your second favorite, right? So figuring that piece out. So we have touch, affirmation, gifts, quality time, and service. Do you think you see kids that fall into these? I mean, all the kids fall somewhere. And I probably told a story about my son and all 5 of them. Everybody has a little bit, just like you have all 4 temperaments. Ready to do a challenging behavior workshop. I talk a lot about temperaments. We have all the 4 temperaments. We have all 5 love languages. It depends which one is most. So, does anybody have any questions? It's a little bit over, but I think I did a good job because I could have went till 11 o'clock. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any comments? Anybody just want to be recorded live and get your 15 minutes of fame? Some people are like, no, I am not talking. All right, so if you found this one, you probably found the other ones, right? So I have tomorrow is not very okay at all. That is my self-care one at 7. No, not tomorrow. I keep saying that. Wednesday at 7. Darn squirrels. And then tools for calming children. So I go beyond taking a deep breath and meditation and yoga, because that's a big thing. But if you are a kid like me, it doesn't work for me. All 3 of those things don't work for me. So figuring out proactively what to do so the kids aren't uncalm, so they're not struggling. That one is the 2nd of April from 2 to 3. And trauma and young children is from 9:30 to 10:30 on Friday. And I have more even next week. So thank you all for being here. I really enjoyed having you all here, and I wish that you were in my living room, and I'm sorry that I can just see your faces. I just want to just gonna go around and snuggle all of you. Blah, 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 blah. And thank you, and I will send, once I'm supposed to run down right after this to put my son to bed, because he needs a hug and a kiss, because he is
touch.
Yes. So, and quality time. So, I will send certificates. Know that they are blank, because for me to do a certificate for everyone and the date and sign it and then scan it back in, I already told you I have squirrels. So you have to put the name of it, which is love languages, and the date, and it was 1 hour. I trust that you're going to be honest with that. You could put 17 hours if you wanted, I guess, but when it goes through the state, I think they're going to know you're lying when all the others say 1 hour. So I will send that out, and if anybody has any other questions or concerns or whatever, you know where to find me.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you,
Thanks, ladies.
Bye.
Bye. I never know how to hang up. Okay. There we go. Okay, I got it. End meeting.